What happens when we die? Is there an afterlife? Do we go to heaven? Or even worse, hell? Can we communicate with the dead? And if we can, should we? Let's find out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 31 of San Pedro Paranormal. Here with my co-host, as always. He's a little lost right now. Co-host Carlos.
What's up, everybody?
And I'm your host, Tony. And today's episode, we are going to be discussing... multiple things, but mostly we're going to try to stick to the topic, which is going to be haunted schools. And the reason for that is that we were trying to get as much information or actually try to find people that had some kind of a story or that knew somebody that had a story of any hauntings in schools. And it was kind of difficult. I know everybody's busy and stuff. So, but we did what we could. So we're just gonna just ride on that. We'll see how it goes. But
we're not exactly gonna wing it. We actually have some.
Yeah, we have some
stories.
Yeah, we have some information. But anyways, Carlos, how have you been? I know we didn't film last week, so what did you do last weekend?
Well, I was having a tough time getting some source material, so on and off, I took a little bit of break and watched some more baseball, and also just jumped on top and looking for more information for today's subject. But so guess who's unemployed again?
What happened?
Yeah, it happened. So they brought me in for a month, and next thing you know, there's not a lot of stuff coming in, not a lot of inventory. So pretty much I'll be out. Probably they're saying they're speculating for a whole month.
Oh, okay.
So I won't be back in October. So let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. So I'm at home. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah. You know what? I last weekend too. I was trying to get in contact with a police officer that he had a story and. Something happened. There was a funeral, and it seems like when you're trying to do something, you just kind of your plans kind of just fall apart. But so I wasn't feeling it. Last week I just wasn't. I didn't feel prepared. And although this week I'm not prepared either, but at least we have something. And I was actually thinking of canceling this week's episode. This week's filming. No. But I was like, you know what? If we don't film this weekend, we're gonna end up just falling into like a pattern where we're not gonna film for a while. So I'm like, you know what, we gotta stick to it.
Yeah, it's like any hobby or anything, like especially when people go to the gym. You work out and you're doing really good for that first few weeks, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss out this Friday and Saturday. Then next week you're like, oh, I can't do it this Saturday and Sunday. It kind of evolves into something that you don't want to do. You just start forgetting about things.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? With a little bit of information we have, I guess we'll just just do it. Just do it. But
and ranting.
Yeah, some ranting, dude. Some ranting. I have some ranting to do on this dumb speaker here. But anyways,
another ghost tech review.
Yeah, another ghost tech review. But anyways, Carlos, so did you find out any information at all of any schools or?
I tried asking for people about stories and this and that, and I went online. But I couldn't get any solid evidence on some of the nearby schools. I was mainly focused on Barton Hill School. And everyone knows about Barton Hill, how there was an old school there and erected in the 1800s. But then they built another school around it, which is a newer one you see, than like an old building. But I couldn't find any information on that one. So I looked that up and I looked up some other things, and all I can come up with were just some articles about why kids see ghosts, and I have a few ghost stories too that I might want to read out.
Well, you know what, Carlos? Before we continue with this episode, I'm gonna have to get up real quick and check the microphone. I don't know if I turned it on.
Yeah, please do.
Give me 1 second. And I'm back. Yeah, it was on. All right, so
the special guest behind me.
I know. Your cat. Hey, did you see that your cat made an appearance on the last episode?
Yeah, that was good. That's a nice picture, by the way.
Yeah. But you know what? I know Barton. We did want to try to get some stories from Barton Hill because Barton Hill is here in San Pedro. So
Yes.
and we do know that stuff has happened there, because I've heard stories of things, and I actually got an EVP there. But I think it would have been nice if we would have been able to like get something more solid than just like the little bit we have.
Right.
But like you were
Yeah.
saying, there used to be a school there before. Was it a school or a house? Because I remember somebody saying that it used to be a big white house like in the middle of the block. But I'm not
Well, the
sure
one
if
that
that's
uh-huh.
correct.
The middle of the block is correct. But what I see here is a school. Let's see here. Yeah, it's an old building. Looks like it's about 2 stories. I would probably look at it like a 6 or 8 bedroom house. It's pretty tall and pretty wide. And this house and its other image that I have here, it seems like it's right in the middle of almost close to the middle of the lot of where San Pedro now resides. I mean San Pedro, Barton Hill Elementary School now resides. And I guess later on they needed to update the school. They needed to expand and create more buildings for more students. I guess it looks like they built around the old school with the new school buildings, and it's like a C shape or a U shape with the old school right in the middle. And I would assume that they knocked that down, and also bought the property on the other end of the lot and expanded the school.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're still, maybe because you know how back in the day they would when somebody would die, they would just bury you in the backyard and stuff. Who knows if there's some people got buried back there? Because I do know that of the stories I've heard that they hear footsteps of people running through the halls when the school's already closed, or they see. I've heard that they see a little boy in one of the bathrooms. I don't know if that's if that's true, but
Oh wow, that's crazy.
yeah.
While doing my research, I did notice that a lot of the janitorial people there that work, not in the school specifically, but in other schools, they are the ones that see most of the activity because they're there by themselves and they're there at night, and that's when a lot of the spooky things happen.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I did. I was able to talk to one teacher, and I'm not gonna mention her name. She wanted to remain what do you call it? Anonymous? Is that right? Is that the
Yeah,
correct word?
yeah.
But she works at the school. I think it was William Anton Elementary in East LA, and I believe that school, according to what she told me, was built on top of what used to be an asylum before. So they get a lot of activity there. Like she told me a few of the things that happened to a few of the teachers, and even the principal. The principal got had experienced some paranormal activity. But
No way.
yeah, one of the things that I found really interesting was that one of the teachers. I mean, if anybody watching this has any family members that are teachers or friends, there's a certain time when the teachers are able to take someone with them to help them clean up their rooms. Like when they're gonna go on a summer vacation and stuff like that. So the teachers are allowed to bring like someone to help them. And one of the teachers that worked at that school, she took her father, and her father, I guess, had that ability of being able to see like spirits and stuff. He had that sixth sense.
Yeah, the Sixth Sense. Yeah.
Sixth sense. So that teacher told her that when she took her father, like they went up to I believe it was the third floor, and on the third floor he told her, like, you know what, I see all kinds of spirits walking these halls. And when he told her that, well, she wasn't surprised, because multiple teachers have experienced either seeing shadows, having their drawers in their desks open and close. And even something that really like blew my mind was that they've had the kids experience the paranormal activity too while they're in school, like during like class, like when the teacher's teaching. Like she told me one instance was this little boy was, I guess, they were in class, and it must have been like during when it's cold, not during the heat, because he was wearing a little hoodie, and that all of a sudden he started and this has happened to multiple students, not just this kid, but this happened while the teacher was looking at him, and the kid started like freaking out because he felt like somebody was tugging at him, right? And so he turned, and the teacher was looking at him, and you could see his hoodie being pulled. with nobody there,
Oh.
that's crazy. That one I was like, whoa.
That's out of this world.
Yeah,
For sure.
the kid was like teacher and like all like panicking, and then she just looked and she sees the little hoodie being pulled, and it was, and not only well, it wasn't only him. There's other kids that have experienced the same thing, but that was one of the ones where the teacher was actually able to see with her eyes, the hoodie being pulled.
Wow.
So
And the whole students witness this too inside the classroom.
well, I'm not sure about that, but I just know that
Okay.
the teacher was the one that told this person
Mhm.
about this incident.
Yeah, but just even having two people like that are being witnesses, that's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, and they've had also, like you said, the janitorial people, the people that clean the schools after schools, and do they go at nighttime too, or I think they just stay late, right? They don't stay during the night, but I think they stay late. The same thing, they were haunted too, but what would happen to them was you know how they have those little push carts where they put all their stuff, like carry the trash bags, and it has those trash cans where they dump the stuff. Well, while they're cleaning the rooms, they would leave, because I think they work sometimes in pairs, but they would leave the little cart in the hallway next to the door to be going back and forth. And while they're getting stuff, and they would get the stuff to walk out, and the cart would be pushed pushed away from the room, like not close to the door. So, just things like that. But let's see, there was a custodian. Yeah, a lot of the drawer thing, that was a big thing. She said that would happen a lot, where the drawers would just open and close. And not only that, when teachers would at the end of the school day, everybody leaves, and the teachers sometimes stay after to do some paperwork or to organize or to prep for the next day. So what would happen then is that these teachers, they would walk out sometimes to go use the restroom, and they would start walking back, to their classroom, and before they would open the door to the classroom, they start hearing noises inside the classroom. She says that they have these big sliding doors. I don't know if you've seen this, Carlos. At Barton Hill, I think they still have them. But they have these big sliding doors where you could put all the stuff away, like anything the teacher has to put, like papers and the stuff they do crafts with. So these teachers, when they walk back to their classroom, before when they're about to unlock their doors, they start hearing these sliding doors just sliding open and close, and then they open the doors, and of course, and there's nothing. Everything's fine. Everything's yeah. So that's pretty crazy. I mean, for a school to have that much activity. And I'm pretty sure, like, the people that, like, parents, or even, what, I wish we could contact some of the students that are now grown-ups that went there, and that might have, if you're watching this and you went to that school in East LA, and you have a story, contact us, and, we'll share it here. But, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot, there must be a lot of stories there. But the other thing was, like I said, the principal got to, experience some stuff, because... Let me see here. I took some notes because she told me a lot of stuff.
Nice.
Oh, the same thing with the principal, like Barton Hill, where usually the principal stays really late. I've noticed that like at Barton Hill, the principal's car would always be there till like real late. But the same thing with this person, they would hear like running in the hallways, and then of course you get up and you go look because you think maybe there's one kid that stayed there or something. You get up, you look, there's nothing there. And then he would hear like whispers and all that stuff. And it got to the point where I guess this principal, I'm not saying every principal that's been there, but the principal that she was talking about would just end up leaving early. Like wouldn't stay late anymore. Because he was getting freaked out.
Too much going on.
Yeah.
High stress workplace.
Yeah, but I would like to find out more about this. I mean, because I know in asylums, right, there's a lot of... what do you call that, like abuse, right? Abuse
right.
from staff to the people that are there.
Yeah.
So so I found that really interesting. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's more schools like that because they usually where schools are built, they're big buildings, so usually it has to be a big building they replace. So usually they're hospitals or stuff like that, something big. Right. So I'm done.
That's true. That's true. Amazing. That's a lot of activity on a school that's built on top of an asylum.
Yeah.
That's something we should look into maybe in a future episode also.
Yeah, and the thing is, I asked her if she had experienced anything, but she's one of those people that You know, there's a certain type of person, just like a complete opposite, where there's a person that's able to have a lot of paranormal activity, where they see ghosts all the time, or they'll experience stuff all the time. She's the opposite, where she sees like nothing, like her whole life she's never heard anything, or
Yeah.
you know. But her family, she was telling me stuff that her family also, you know, she has a cousin that, you know, she's had a lot of stuff happen to her too. But that we'll leave that for a different episode. But yeah, anyways, did you find anything on YouTube of because I'm pretty sure there's videos out there, right, of like ghosts in schools and stuff.
Oh, I tried, Tony, the whole week. I tried finding something good, and most of the videos that I came across were fake.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is just this can be easily solved by doing this, by doing that. There's a string that pulls a chair across in this video at school, and the backpack's flying out. You know, it's the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Did
you ever experience anything in school when you were younger, like either elementary, junior high, or high school?
Let's see, a couple of fights, food fights, threw up ones when they sucked me in the stomach. I was mostly the witness. You know, I got picked on a few times, and most of the time I was there just witnessing everything, but I'd never snitched.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Maybe behind the handball court, we'll solve our problems there.
Yeah. And you know what? There was this other story that I wanted to share, and this is kind of I'm not gonna go too deep into it because it's this is the story that that police officer was gonna tell me about. Well, actually, he told me about it already, and that's why I wanted to contact him to kind of give me like a refresher on the story, because he told me this story about a year ago. So I'm kind of, you know, not 100% sure if I remember it the right way, but I do want to share it now because it actually, to me, this is probably the biggest like haunted school story I've heard. And I remember when he told me the story, I got goosebumps from the story. But I think Carlos froze in a weird, awkward. Carlitos, there you are. But
I'm here.
Yeah. But anyways, I'm gonna try to tell it as you know, as tell it the right way as much as I can remember it. But
right.
The story was that this officer, he used to have a partner, and this partner now is you know, I think he's in Orange County now. But he actually, with the police station he went to work for, they ended up getting a phone call, and it was from a person saying that there was a kid like on school property, and this was after hours. You know, it was already late. I believe it was like 7 or 8 at night. And so this person calls the station, you know, saying, you know what, there's a kid here, so, you know, send someone, because this kid shouldn't be here. And, you know, they said the kid had like a backpack and stuff, so they figured it was a kid waiting either for the parents or someone to pick him up from school. So the police officer, you know, they sent 2 police officers. They go check it out. They find nothing. So, you know, I guess a little later that night they call again, like, hey, you know what, you guys never showed up. This kid's still here. You know, so they go back, and the second time they go back, they actually see the kid, and the kid is kind of like, I guess, inside like where the gate is, you know. So you know how they lock the gates? They don't leave the gates open, and the gates are locked. So I don't quite remember if they called someone from the school to come in and lock the gates so they could go in, but they got into the school. So they walk in and they start looking for this kid. So they end up finding him between the buildings, you know, and so the 2 officers are like, hey, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. He's like, oh, you know, my dad, he was supposed to pick me up, and he never showed up. So the officers are like, okay, you know, one of them starts taking the notes, like, okay, what's your name, la 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 la. They start calling back, like, hey, we got this kid here. So they tell the kid, okay, you know, what's your phone number? We're gonna call your parents, right? So they call the parents. I don't know if the police officer called the parents, or they when they radioed in, the person that they radioed into contacted the parents. And Your cat just freaked me out. I saw I saw him move behind you. But so they call the parents, and then they call the cops back, and the cops are like, I don't know what they're doing. They're writing something down, and the kid's like sitting on the steps or something. And so while the cop is talking through the radio, they're like, you know what, this kid, those people say they don't know any kid by that name, right? So then when the cop turns around to tell the kid's gone. So,
Ooh.
they're like, what the? So what they did, they thought the kid got up and left. So they start walking through the school, like looking for the kid, and they never find him. So then they end up finding out, like, I guess they try to investigate, like, with the phone number and the name of the kid, and they end up finding out that this kid, that gave his name out, was a kid that had been murdered, I believe, like 10 or 12 years before the incident. And what had happened was that, I guess one of the parents that was supposed to pick him up showed up late, and there was another car with like a stranger or something, and they had they killed him. They killed him inside the car, and then later that day just dumped him right there in front of the school. So that I was like, oh crap, like, especially coming from a police officer, it's just like,
Yeah,
makes it more legit.
Yeah.
But anyways,
story. That's actually pretty good.
And I'm pretty sure I didn't get it 100% right, but I'm hoping this police officer eventually is able to, contact his buddy, because that's what he was going to do. He was going to contact his buddy and make sure he got the story right too before he shared it with me. But anyways, we'll see. But anyways, Carlitos, you know what happened with that book? Did you finish it?
I finished it yesterday. So I'm gonna drop it off one day and have you read it and see what you think.
Nice.
And we'll do a final review.
Nice.
I'll let you know what I think about it once I hand it to you. But we'll talk more about that later.
Was there anything about Barton Hill in there?
No. No, it's just generalized stuff. It's just pretty much the things that you pretty much already know. But anyways, I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that
episode.
later for another show.
Next episode, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what we think about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what, Carlos? is there any? There is a kind of a scary movie of a school like a haunted school, right? I think it was called The Faculty. Did you ever watch that?
No, I didn't see that one.
No.
No, but I know which one you're talking about.
I think Selma Hayek was in that.
Okay. Then I have to watch it.
Yeah, The Faculty. But you know what? I don't think I've watched a lot of movies on haunted schools. I don't think so.
The only one that comes to mind is just the ghost from Harry Potter, that girl that's flying around in the restroom. That's about it. The one with the pigtails over and she had the glasses of Myrtle, whatever her name is. But anyways.
Yeah.
Harry Potter. I don't know why they came up.
Yeah, you know what? I tried to look through my library of films, and I couldn't find anything that was like haunted schools. I don't know.
It's kind of like the whole zombie thing. It's not that popular, I guess. Or
Yeah.
it has to have some sort of like special feature in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the haunted library in Ghostbusters. I mean, that's about it.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think that was all the info I got for the schools, and I did try to find some videos on YouTube like you did, and there was nothing really that that catchy that caught my attention.
Right. So the algorithm, and when you search for something, it's so mixed. It's just you can spend hours and hours just looking for something that's remotely interesting when it comes to the subject that we're looking for. Yeah. So I was like, forget it. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, right. I put in a couple of keywords in there, and I looked, and it was just a couple of ghost hunters going into like an old military school, and it was abandoned in some desert states. And the thing I hate most about the thing I hate worst about ghosts is rattlesnakes, and I'm worried that I might step on one or something like that. And there's bats flying in the school, and it's it was kind of
abandoned building kind of.
Abandoned building kind of thing. We didn't really find anything.
Okay.
Yeah, but
was there anything else you wanted to talk about, Carlos?
Well, I did have an article, but it's mostly on the perspective of kids and why kids see ghosts. Even though we mostly talked about today, faculty and workers at school that seen or witnesses to ghosts were there. This is mostly deals with kids, and it's an interesting article. It came out on the Washington Post last year, right before Halloween, and it's by Rosemary Counter. And Rosemary Counter starts talking about how when she was a little girl, growing up, she went over to visit like a family's friends or her parents' friend's house, and they lived on a farm. And she was playing along, moving back and forth, and she actually got frightened, and she pointed up top of the stairs, and she saw a ghost. I think she was about probably 3 years. And after that, time passed, and her mom and her siblings bring it up once in a while, and she was kind of curious about this encounter. And let's see, she talks about that she doesn't really remember any of this. 3 decades later, this unfact-checkable story has gone the way of many campfire tales. It's mostly fun and only partly scary, though. Firm proof that is undeniably truth. So this is what she says. Children are spooky little creeps who see ghosts, report past lives, and chat at night with dead relatives. So this is what she starts out with. But she was actually kind of curious what other people had to say about this, and she went on Reddit, and she started going into this group. I think it's like a local moms group. They talk about different things in there, and she kind of had this thing where she kind of got her part of her answer, which was turns out kids see ghosts all the time, but not in the ghost sense that we think about, spirits or phantoms or whatever you want to call it. She went on the local group. And let's see. Well, this is a mom's delivered. Hold on. A little boy who saw zillions of people walking slowly through an empty cemetery. A 2-year-old who reported grandma's in the sky with Pappy, minutes after grandmother's death. Oh wow, that's kind of interesting. And a child's especially disturbing imaginary friend named Susie, her father's late first wife. So they're kind of like showing things of or there's little scenarios and stories of kids that see these ghosts and that they're imaginary friends, who sometimes turn out to be long dead relatives that they've never met, or they were deceased before these kids were born.
Yeah.
Let's see. The phenomenon of kids allegedly seeing ghosts thrives online, but no matter how improbable or unprovable, the volume of these stories alone is enough to make scientists take notice. There are admittedly lots of reports of kids seeing ghosts, says Jacqueline D. Woolley, psychology professor at the University of Texas. Woolley's research dives deep into the children's evaluation and understanding of reality versus the fantastical. She reveals in My Tale about the girl on the stairs. That's enough to make you believe that it's real, for about a millisecond, she says. Let's see. Good though, Halloween fun, because this article is written around Halloween. Good though, Halloween fun. There are many holes in stories like mine, Woolley says, namely the brain. So right here in this part of this article, she starts talking about how your mind tries to make a connection with what's real and what isn't. It tries to make it real, kind of like we talked about in past episodes. Your mind's always trying to fill those gaps.
Yeah, it's funny, dude, because it's funny that you brought up the kid thing, because that they're able to see dead people that have passed away a long time ago. Because I talked to a person too that told me a story. They didn't have a school haunting story, but they had a story of I think it was their niece that had a dream, right? She dreamt of a person getting shot, and so she told her parents when she, the next morning, like, you know what, I had a dream of this man, and the parents were like, the mom I think was like, oh, that's crazy. Like, she didn't tell her anything, but she started asking questions because I think her grandfather was killed that way. He died that way. He was shot. So she started asking, oh yeah, what did he look like, or what was he wearing? And when she started describing the person, so I guess the mom went to look for a picture of her grandfather and showed the little girl the picture, and she's like, that's him, he's the one that got shot. That's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it is crazy. So
yeah.
see, the article continues with let's see. So Susie is not a ghost, but actually an imaginary friend. It talks a little bit more about imaginary friends and psychologists, and it says, not too long ago, imaginary friends were considered a precursor to mental illness. Now we know they're a positive sign of healthy child development. And it's now adults come to this psychologist concerned that their kid doesn't have one, when they're kind of worried, like, my kid should have an imaginary friend. They shouldn't, they should not have one. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny how things have changed, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. So old thinking. Okay, so let's see. The old thinking assumed kids just couldn't differentiate between what's real and what's not. While new thinkers such as Willie believe kids know full well what's real, even if it looks like they can't tell the difference. Let's see. This other person named Fernie Howe falls somewhere in the middle. I think on occasion kids do mix up imagination and reality to have something like a hallucination-like experience. And that's kind of funny because I think we talked about how some kids or so when they're young, they have some sort of attachment with the spiritual world, right? Mm-hmm. And then as they get older, it kind of disappears. I think we talked about that in past episodes.
Yeah.
So then it goes into another part of the article where it says, well, this brings out a strange question. How should you react if your little one reports a visit from the other side? Then Fernando, which is another psychologist, I believe, says, unless there's real distress, do not worry. To know whether there's real distress, just ask the child. And this is kind of funny because let's see. To work within the fantasy, just like you might for a monster under the bed. So engage with the kid as to what it looks like and what it does. Ask her if she's scared of the ghost or if she likes it and if she's seen it before. A scary ghost can be tweaked as necessary. So she's talking about, like, I guess, behavior modification here, changing things up a little bit. Maybe you can help the child pretend he's an old-timey underwear, for example. So, so make something scary into something funny and more relatable. And then there's another psychiatrist, Jim B. Tucker. And Jim B. Tucker is balancing science and the paranormal, and he's from the Division of Perceptual Studies at the University of Virginia. It says, we don't take the approach of a believer or non-believer. We research and explore the phenomenon of children who report past lives, he says. Overlapping often are reports of kids who see dead relatives, including some who were dead long before the child was born. And this is what you were talking about just moments ago. Yeah. So here's a part of the article. Is interesting, kind of similar to what you were talking about. When my daughter was 3 years old, she started telling us that she was being woken up in the night by a man who kept tickling her feet. We figured she was just dreaming until we came across an old picture of my grandparents on their wedding day, and my daughter pointed at my grandfather and said, "That's him. That's the man who tickles my feet." My grandfather passed away when I was 6 years old. This, wow, that is amazing right there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of strange, and I don't know, there's evidence and it's just something spiritual going there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's the article talks about the two different sides and just ends on that. But there's a little tidbit here. Let's see. I thought it was kind of funny. She talks about her kids and all the ghost stories, and it's Halloween time when this article was written. So at the end of the article, she puts, so they were curled up reading books, and the other night when my 2-year-old whispered, "There's someone at the door," she tells her, "What did you say?" Peering at the dark, empty doorway. So the mom's looking at the doorway like this. "There's someone at the door," she slowly repeated. Then she pointed matter-of-factly at the book when we were reading, where little Miss Lucky indeed had a visitor at the door. And then right here it says, proving that the only spooky creep in this bedroom was the author. I thought that was funny. So it's a good article. It talks about both sides, which I like.
Nice.
And this was in the Washington Post, October 28, 2019.
You know what? And talking about kids that are able to see ghosts and stuff, this reminds me of. Did you ever see that show that was on? I think it was on the Sci-Fi channel. It was called. Was it? I think it was Paranormal Kids. Oh no, it was called Psychic Kids or something like that. Remember that?
Okay.
Did you ever watch that?
I don't think so.
Oh, it was such a good show. I'll put a picture right here if I figure out what the name of that show was. But I think it was called Psychic Kids. And this show, there was an actual, like a psychic, like an older guy, And what he did, he started, I guess parents that had kids that would see ghosts started contacting him, like saying, my kid sees ghosts. So he started getting like the ones that had the most, like picking out of like all the kids, the ones that had the most, I guess, psychic powers, so you could say, or the ability to see the dead. And he grouped them up, and he would teach them how to like enhance their abilities. Oh man, they should bring that show back. But because you think
that's interesting. I like that.
I mean, because you think, like we were saying that when the kids are able to see the spirits more than adults. Because I know there's adults, of course, that can still see them, but kids seem to have that stronger sense. So you figure, the connection. So you figure you get these kids that have the most experience with these with seeing ghosts and stuff, and put them all together and kind of like a what is it called, what's that one robot that was made out of tigers? What was it? Voltron.
Voltron.
Get all the psychic kids.
Assemble.
Yeah, and it's cool because he would get all these kids and put them together, and he would like, this was a highlight of the show for me. He would take them to these haunted houses, and he would take them in one at a time, I believe, or in groups of two, and be like, okay, start feeling or seeing in your mind, what do you see, or what do you hear, or what words come to mind, or do you get any visions? And these kids would like end up telling what happened there before, which was it was awesome show.
Right, it's opening up like a third eye or so, right?
Yeah, bring it back. Bring it back.
Bring it back.
Yeah, great show.
If you ever find the old episodes, let me know. I want to check those out.
I'm pretty sure they're on Hulu or something, but once I find the show, I'll let you know about the title of the show. But yeah, Psychic Kids, I think it was.
Psychic Kids. Okay, Psychic Kids. Nice.
Yeah. But is there anything else you want to talk about, Carlos?
I can probably just read a ghost story that I found online.
Okay, there you go. You know what? I think that'd be a good way to end the show. With a little with a ghost story.
I wish I could just overdub it, so I wouldn't be making as many mistakes. But I believe in your editing skills.
Hey, when you make a mistake, it'll just be my voice saying the word.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
There you
go. All right, so this one is from an article, actually a online segment. This is from Stephen Wagner, updated January 22nd, 2019. It's part of their Live About, or it's actually liveabout.com. 4 scary haunted school stories: ghostly little students, a dog and an orb, and even a whistling nun. But I'm going to read about the dog and the orb at Kangaroo Inn School. Okay, so in 1993, Deb was in year 9 at a school in a remote part of Australia. It was March, when days in Australia were getting shorter and the weather cooler. Deb's class and the year 8 students were enjoying a sleepover at the school. The school was called Kangaroo Inn, named after some old ruins that were nearby. The rock walls and a window frame were all that remained of the old inn, constructed and used during the gold rush, Deb says. Apparently, the Chinese couple who ran the inn were buried under the school somewhere, but no one knew for certain. Deb was put on cooking duty, barbecuing sausages and patties for tea. At around 6:30 p.m., some of her mates came down to ask how long tea was going to be. As I was cooking the barbecue, she says, I heard a dog barking. There were no dogs at the school. I could hear the bark coming from inside. I was about to investigate when a little dog, a Jack Russell, I think, popped out of the wall. It ran around barking, then headed over to the tech studies room and ran through the wall into the room. This was no child's imagination. One of the teachers who was staying with the children on the overnight came out to find the dog he heard barking. Deb told the teacher what she saw, and the teacher replied, well, this school is supposed to be haunted, but not by a dog. When they heard the barking again, they all ran to the other side of the tech studies building. To their astonishment, the dog was standing half in the wall barking. We couldn't see his tail or hind legs, Deb recalls. While we watched, an orb floated out of the wall, glowing green. The dog followed it, barking constantly. By this time, 3 other students and 1 other teacher were witnessing the phenomenon. Then, the dog and orb floated up into the air and were lost from sight in the darkening skies. I have never seen anything like this, Deb says. But some year 12 students supposedly caught the video footage of a green orb earlier on, around 1988 to 89. Also, some teachers reported being shaken by their shoulders or felt cold spots when locking up the school late at night when sleepovers or events at school happened after school hours. I guess my old school was haunted, but whatever was happening never hurt anybody, just freaked us out.
Wait a second, is this a true story?
I believe so. Yeah.
Crazy.
Dog and ornament.
It's almost like a movie.
Well, either way, it's a story.
Yeah, that's cool though. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Talking about them getting the picture or video of the orb, that reminds me of there's a person here in San Pedro that I know, and she was telling me that we should do an investigation down by the Beacon House, because I guess this lady, she does almost like real estate kind of, where she'll go into these old buildings, and I don't know if it was real estate or anyways. So anyway, she went to one of these buildings down there, and she told me, she's like, oh, you do the the whole San Pedro Paranormal, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, you should go to this building down on Beacon, and it's like an apartment building, because she said she had to go see it with this other man was showing her the building, and when they were going through one of the halls, she looks into one of the rooms, and she sees a big like a ball of light, right? And it's just floating in the room. And so she was kind of like, what the hell? And the guys are like, oh, don't worry about it, that happens all the time. So, you know, and
that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal. But I mean, you know what? And I've heard this from different people. My parents actually got to see a giant ball of light, and this was in the desert. So and I think I told you about this, or I mentioned this in the UFO. I think there was a UFO episode, because this happened when we were driving. I think we were coming from TJ to San Bernardino or something, to my sister's house, and we fell asleep in the back of the van. And I think the next day or a couple days later, that's when my mom told me, like you know what, something happened, like when we were driving, we saw this big like a ball of light just going over the road, you know, and it wasn't a UFO or anything, because it had no shape. It was just like a giant light, like a fireball kind of, but like moving in slow motion with no sound. So you know, she's like, and I was like, maybe you were dreaming, you know, like you fell asleep. She was a passenger, and she's like, no, because she asked my dad, like the night, you know what? And what's funny was that they never mentioned it while it happened. They didn't say anything to each other. So till the next day, my mom asked my dad, like, hey, you know, when you were driving, I saw this ball of light, and he's all like, I saw it too. He's like, I just didn't say anything because I thought it was my imagination, because it was at night, like really late at night. And so it was funny, you know, that so it's something that a lot of people see, these balls of light or orbs. Some people call them orbs. But I mean, who knows? But maybe there's a natural explanation for them. But I don't know.
Yeah, like the other day, I was coming on the freeway. I was on a 91 heading back towards the 110, and me and my buddy were coming back. It was nighttime already. We went for a little cruise, and we just saw something in the sky, and it was just this lightning that just went like this. It didn't go from up down or down up like it's normally supposed to go. It just the lightning went sideways, and we're like, what is that? I don't know. And I got all hyped up. I was like, maybe it's like UFOs or a portal or something opened up, and or maybe in a science experiment from the government.
Yeah.
So I was all testing my friend the rest of the night. What was it? That was interesting. But then I went online, and then I looked up the different types of clouds, and there's this type of cloud that's really low, and when it's next to another cloud, the same way the atmospheric pressure is there, where the thunderbolt comes out from one and goes into the other sideways. I've never seen that, but I was just like, whoa, blown away. But I'm sorry to detract from the story, but it's just sometimes you just.
Did you guys get it on video? Did you guys get it on video?
No, I wish I had a.
Yeah, the little camera.
Anyway, I had that, but
oh, that would have been cool.
So sometimes you can easily find an answer like that, but the orbs, they've been around for many years, and there's still no definite scientific answer for that.
Yeah, and you know what? I do remember seeing something on orbs, on think it was like a documentary about storms, where like electricity will travel through air and it'll look like balls of light. But I think that's only during storms, so it's unless, I mean, when the person that told me here in San Pedro, was inside the building, so that's kind of strange that it would be inside. But who knows? Maybe.
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if some energy could travel through buildings and stuff, but yeah.
Only if Nikola Tesla was around, he'll tell us.
I know.
Yeah, no explanation yet for those orbs from what I've seen.
Well, you know what, guys? I think we're gonna end it here because I'm feeling kind of out of it. But but you know what? Next episode, I do want to, Carlos. I wanted to tell you, I want to do one about go back into the alien thing, because I was watching this video on YouTube of how there's a belief that if enough people get together and think of something, they could actually make it happen. So I don't know. We'll see. Episode 33.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyways, guys, is there anything you want to mention or shout outs or anything?
This time, everything's good so far. Honestly, I'm kind of glad we got to this episode, and we put our best efforts in. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Follow Carlos on Instagram.
Not again. I'm gonna have to make an Instagram and a special page where people can follow, and I can put some cool text.
Oh yeah, tech stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, ghost text stuff, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like something I like.
Yeah.
And I'll share that with you guys.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hey, thanks a lot.